I'm often asked the question by pastors, when do I know it's time to move on? The fact that I've had a number of such conversations in the last month has given me pause for thought. Normally there's great benefit both for us and the churches we serve in long-term pastorates. Roots go deep, vision becomes firmly embedded, ministry has time to become really effective. I'm convinced that many pastors leave their ministries too quickly and for the wrong reasons. In fact, I suspect that some of us leave just before the critical breakthrough into long-term fruitfulness. But does that mean we should never leave? Is this an argument for staying 40 years in one place so that we get the gold watch at the end? Not necessarily. Here are a few reflections. 1. Listen to your heart. Some of us are natural sprinters, others equipped to run marathons. Which are you? Some of us are called by God to build churches, others to break a mould. By character and temperament, some of us are restless activists, always initiating new and exciting projects. The snag is we get bored easily. We can keep going in ministry with that passion for a while, but we can't keep it up for long. True, there's something noble about perseverance and keeping on, but when we realise that we no longer have the passion that drove us in the first place, we know that something's going on in our hearts. Ministry without passion will catch us out in the end. If we find that our attitudes are continually negative about the church we serve, it's definitely time to make a change, either in us or in our sphere of ministry. One thing is certain, God doesn't call any of us to stay in a ministry in order to poison the environment with criticism or negativity. So does this mean we should up and away at the first sign of difficulty? Not at all. One of my most painful discoveries of the last 30 years is that ministry is not just about Jesus and me growing the church. Lots of it is about Jesus and the church growing me. Staying somewhere longer than 5 years may force us to change for good. Yet the fact remains we need the self-awareness to know whether we're sprinters or marathon runners. Listen to your heart. The second thing is listen to your congregation. Sometimes that's easy. If the congregation or our fellow leaders lose confidence in us, then it is time to go. We've lost our influence as a leader, and without the influence, we can't lead. But sometimes it's not quite as obvious as that. It is possible for a congregation to grow weary of us. They grow tired of the sound of our voice. Our preaching becomes predictable, and frankly, they want to change. It happens in politics, and sadly, it happens in church too. It takes a lot of wisdom and even more humility to know and to love our flock well enough to recognise when they would benefit from a new shepherd. Listen to your congregation. Thirdly, listen to your friends. I wish I'd paid more attention to this earlier in my ministry and listened to one friend in particular. Is my sphere of service causing resentment between me and my wife? Pippa, my wife, is both my fiercest critic and my finest friend. She's always been far more discerning than me when it comes to sensing if what I'm doing is not a good match for my temperament, my skills, my passions. And anyway, better than anyone, she knows what I'm like to live with. For those of us who are married, there will be times in which we might disagree about whether it's the time to seek a fresh start. But long term, a house divided against itself cannot stand, especially in ministry. And anyway, when it comes to my life, I trust Pippa's voice a lot more than I trust my own. So if after a while the family's still sending us warning signals, we'd be very wise to listen. Those of us who are single need wise and trusted friends who can play this role for us. If the pastor's network is going to truly become a band of brothers, I hope you have those wise and trusted friends. None of us is meant to be an island in ministry. Listen to your friends. You may have noticed that God told me to move on is not on the list. Here's why. I've heard that phrase misused more often than I've heard it used well. Sometimes we resort to God language to hide our own emotional insecurities. Of course God speaks to us through his word, by his spirit, and often his voice is echoed through the wisdom of the friends around us. If we're the only one who ever hears from God, maybe it isn't God we're hearing from. Could he be moving us on so that someone else can come and fill our shoes with fresh vision and new energy? Is he calling us to another area of ministry where we can flourish and be more fruitful? They're great questions to prompt some serious soul searching. Of course, it could be that God's not moving us on at all. Maybe he's wooing us back to spend time with him, so that he can renew our call and refresh our passion to serve just where we are. That would be a great result for us and for the church we serve.